Hello and welcome back to today's feature, the show where two brothers watch a movie separately and come back here to discuss it on this show. We like to link it to news or something else that's coming this week. So this week, the movie that's coming out is Eddie the Eagle. I am Kevin.
What I do.
So we were discussing prior to this, if you're listening, what movies basically link up to Eddie the Eagle, which is a movie about a Olympic ski jumper, and I don't even think he did that well in the Olympics. From what I see,
comes great responsibility.
A lot of celebration. So we were having a little bit of discussion on what movies come sort of close to that, and we both came to the consensus. The obvious, I guess, link is Cool Runnings. What year did that come out?
It was 1993.
1993. And, so I guess when Cool Runnings came out, I was pretty young, so I don't really remember at the time. It's a movie that I have seen before, but I honestly couldn't even... I knew what it was about, but I couldn't tell you the beats. I couldn't tell you anything about it.
With me, it's, I think, probably the same with you, was we watched it a lot growing up. But I probably haven't seen it in 15 years.
Yeah, and we will definitely have a different perspective of it at our age than we would have as a kid. Because as a kid, we probably would have just liked the fact it was Disney, and it was, I guess, there's a little bit of
all I really remembered
comedy.
Was the Jamaican comedy and the ending. That's pretty much what I remember.
I didn't even remember the ending until I watched it. So we dove right into this, and so I'm just going to go over the beginning just a little bit with you. The beginning is basically a Jamaican sprinter who appears to be training consistently, and he's really wanting to making the Summer Olympic team.
Yeah, it's 1987 Jamaica, and that would be the 1990 Olympics that they're trying for.
Yeah, so... So they're showing a bunch of this. They're also showing the comic relief in this movie, Dougie Doug.
Yeah.
And he's showing that he can drive a
boxcar.
A boxcar, and they're showing that he's actually pretty good at it. And he's not a sprinter. He's not a fast guy, but they're showing what he can do. So after Dougie Doug shows you basically that he is a good driver. And he's clearly going to be a comic relief. They go back to, I would say, the main character. And out of the...
Which is Denise.
Denise, yeah. He's the sprinter that I mentioned in previously. And basically there's going to be a giant qualifying to get into the Olympics. So they showed him training really hard to get to this. And he's really committed to getting there. And he meets a couple guys next to him.
There's Junior and Yul, and they're the three of them are lined up for the race,
right next to each other. And as they're running, I think all three of them are in the lead, or at least two of the three.
Yeah, they're pretty high up there. And then, as can happen, there's someone trips and knocks over the other two.
And that's it. They don't qualify. Yeah, basically the rules were who the top three moved on to the Olympics, and since all three of them fell down, they clearly didn't qualify. And Denise was pretty bummed out about that. He tried to talk to the commissioner, basically saying, "Give me another chance. So we gotta do it again. This isn't fair. We gotta do it again." And he's like, "You know what? What's done is done." And
it wouldn't be fair for the other guys who won.
No, absolutely not. Regardless how who knows how hard they train.
It's just unfortunate.
So he gets this idea. It was just kind of a passing comment.
Well, yeah, because he's just so desperate to make the Olympics
in any way. Because the only other ways are boxing, and I forget what the other one.
Well, Jamaicans are. Yeah, I think he offered.
He offered boxing and something else. He's like, well, I'm not that. I'm a runner.
Obviously, Jamaica would be only for the summer sports, but then he had the idea because it was a passing comment about. Irv, who was played by John Candy, who tried to recruit in the past some Jamaicans for a bobsled team.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was very quick. It was just like, I don't even know what bobsled is, but if that's my way in, or if that's an idea, I need to find this American who lives in Jamaica, and let's just go from there. So he gets, I would say, yeah, if I'm correct, he got Dougie Doug to help him seek him out.
Yeah, that's right.
And basically just trying to persuade John Candy's character, who's just drinking alone, not even thinking about the old days, just pretending he doesn't like bobsledding, ripping down the poster and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this was a funny sequence when they're trying to recruit him.
Absolutely. Like, there was I don't want to say too much, but yeah, the one scene where he opens a door or
And
something
he
like that,
just starts joking.
they're just there too. They just happen to be like right, like, hello, like right in there.
Yeah, no.
So I enjoyed that sequence as well.
Yeah, that was really funny. And then
He goes like, hey, like, basically saying, hey, you told my father that you had a dream about Jamaicans can do it because they're sprinters. It's like, well, here's your opportunity. And he told him who his father was, and basically that kind of persuaded him. And then there was like a group meeting.
And he showed a video.
They showed a video of bobsled. Yeah, John Candy showed a video of bobsledding. There was like, let's say 200 people there.
Kind of like a blooper reel.
Kind of like a blooper reel. And
showed some crashes.
Just things that don't happen often probably. But then literally nobody is left because they all left. They're just clearly scared.
Except Dougie Doug.
Dougie Doug, yeah. And then both the two guys that were late just happened to be the two guys that he was sprinting with in the Olympic tryouts. And they both
that's the team before.
That's the team. So they both agreed to get in, and then at that point, one sequence that I liked is when John Candy, another one. It was just a cliche type of a moment for a movie where he's trying to tell each guy what they're gonna do. Right. You're gonna be the strong guy. You're gonna be the whatever. And then he tells Dougie Doug he's going to be in the back as they're braking. He goes off on a tangent about how he needs to be the driver because he's a good driver. Now, this happens a lot where somebody in a movie was like, oh, you want to be the driver? Well, you have responsibilities like death, or whatever. Like, you could cause accident. Do you want that responsibility? And then the person will make a joke like, I'll let the other guy do it then.
Yeah, there's a lot of, especially very 90s.
But I thought that this particular one was done. I thought he did it really well. Just like his reaction just seemed so genuine. There wasn't like a pause in between. Like, oh, okay, well he can do it. It was like immediately like, yeah, I'll do it. I think he should do it.
Well, the way John Candy delivered it too wasn't in a humorous manner. He was just telling him why.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good delivery, and that wasn't so bad.
No, I really enjoyed that. Yeah. So after that,
they're training. I know that.
And trying to raise money.
Yeah, they're trying to raise some money, which that was pretty funny. I remembered that part vaguely from a kid. The kissing booth.
Oh, the kissing booth. Yes. Yeah, there was all kinds of things like the guitar and the arm wrestling where he lost to a woman. The big, strong guy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. It wasn't a bad thing. It was quick. It wasn't too bad. And even the training, where when they finally figured it out and the cops are talking to him, Johnny Candy just pushes the cops out of the way.
You're wasting our time. Yeah, that was good.
I just can't imagine how that would actually turn out if somebody just pushes a cop out of the way. You're like, you did it. You did it. You broke your time.
And it was kind of funny that after all that, the montage of them trying to raise money, it really didn't amount to much at all.
No, it amounted to like $13 out of a giant montage of trying to raise money.
Yeah, but then Junior showed up and he
sold his car.
So they could go, and
they could try to go to qualify for the Olympics because it, according to the movie, I thought everything was like they covered a lot of bases around this. Now, obviously, it's a movie and it's going to be not realistic, but they did cover a lot of bases of like, well, really, because you got to qualify a month in advance. You got to do this.
It's true, yeah, and they had to hit a certain time. I think in the movie it was 1 minute and 2.
They said, oh, it used to be a minute 5, then it was a minute 2, then eventually they switched it to a minute.
Yeah.
So
then they're off to Canada, Calgary.
And they meet the villains.
Oh, but first, I thought it was funny when they first just arrived.
Oh, yes,
And they showed
Jamaicans in Canada.
Sprayed out. And it's funny because it's like a blizzard, but I found it pretty funny because, as you know, for us it's just another day in the winter.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny seeing how they reacted.
Yeah, and they're giant jackets. And they're so cold.
Doug Sanka put on all his clothes and went outside. And then,
yeah, that wasn't bad. And then they finally get to the Olympics, trying to register, and that's where he meets his former John Candy. Sorry, he meets his former, I guess,
his
team, and they just walk by him, except for one guy who at least is nice to him and gives him a training sled.
He buys a beat up, very rusted
bobsled for them to use, or at least try out with. See how that goes. And then the Jamaicans meet the villains, I would say, and that's the Germans.
That's the usual 90s sports movie trope.
Has to be the Germans who are
Actually,
bad.
I think it was the Swiss.
Was it the Swiss?
I think it was
I
the
thought
Swiss,
they were
they
German.
They kept going on about the Swiss being the
Oh,
top
that's
team.
right. And they were talking about Swiss Army knives at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember this. But
But it's like...
I feel that in that time, the Jamaicans probably would have been way more welcomed than how they were portrayed.
I guess it's hindsight, but in my opinion, I would... Because they kept going on about, you're going to embarrass us, you're going to be embarrassment for the sport. Whereas if I was on the committee, I mean, it's hindsight, but I would be more willing to welcome them.
Yeah, I would say this is amazing. People are going to... people are going to engage or watch
You'll
this.
have more viewers kind of tune in, and sure,
these guys are
probably not going to do well, but...
And they look like they're
the
serious. And as long as they qualify, then who cares? Like, if they don't qualify, then you don't lose anything.
But that was... They kind of overdid that, but this is based off a true story, so I can't speak to how accurate they were treated, but I thought it was a little bit much.
Oh, yeah. Sure. It was just every time you see them, they're squinting.
There was that typical villain, you want to call him, where he was just being a jerk the whole time.
Yeah, just for no reason. Just like... You don't belong here. This is the Olympics. You don't have snow or something like that. You don't have ice. And so after that, I guess, initial reaction, they finally figure out, well, you're going to have to start running on snow or ice, I mean. So they go to a skating rink and try to learn how to run on ice, and not one of them is good at it.
No. Yeah. Well, and then John Candy... He mentioned run with your toes, because you really have to, if you're going to run like that, you have to use the top of your foot. So it was kind of a neat little accurate thing they added there.
Yeah.
So then I think they were doing some downhill training, and then you find out that John Candy, that he was obviously a past athlete in the bobsled, but you found out that he was caught cheating.
Yeah, he apparently put weights to make his sled go faster, and that caused the team to lose their medals retroactively. So he's basically a disgrace in that sport. You can see why they're so bitter at him. And they're so bitter at him, like, you embarrassed us, basically. They don't say it at all, but it's just what you find out.
I know John Candy did a speech later on, but, he put... I thought it was a good delivery of why he cheated. About he's already won 2 and that's all he knew, so he wanted to keep winning. Yeah. But
see, I didn't mind the coach rivalry or something like that at all in this movie.
No.
I didn't think that it was like, in some movies it might have been like, you don't really need this, but it brought something else where he's not perfect. They gave good reasoning
for it, because most movies will have like something like the Mighty Ducks, where it's like the rival coach does not like him for whatever reason, but when they explained what happened and what the consequences of his cheating was, you can kind of understand where the other guy was coming from.
Yeah, and the other guy was, or the committee was not the villains, but you can understand why they wanted to put it on them. To anyways, that we'll get to that, I guess, in a second, but After that, they try to qualify. After, again, training on ice and stuff like that, they try to qualify, and they reduce the time from 1:02 to 1 minute flat. And if they make the minute, then they qualify for the
For the Olympics.
The Olympics.
Yes.
So they do what they had to do, and they got it in 59 seconds, and I guess it seemed everybody was happy.
Yeah, they made it, and then there's a quick little scene after that where everyone's happy, they're celebrating, and Irv is giving a letter saying that they're disqualified because that they didn't do some pre-tournaments
Yes.
to qualify.
And that's what I mean by they covered a lot of bases, because I can understand or
It makes
see that
sense, 'cause
happening.
You can't necessarily just show up. Usually you have to. It's a year-long thing.
Which
where
is
you do
pretty
multiple
impressive for a
tournaments.
Disney movie, because normally it's it's fantasy,
Yeah.
and just things just happen. But it to me it looked like they tried at least to make a realistic story out of this, even though technically it happened. Obviously this is the movie version, but yeah, technically it happened. So John Candy goes back and basically talks to the committee.
He goes in the boardroom, and I thought this was just a great scene by John Candy where he's talking about disqualified, and he's saying, "Don't take it out on them, take it out on me, disqualify me, don't take it out on them," and he was apologizing.
Apologizing, cheating, and
I
saying
was
these
very-
guys worked their butts off to get here. They did everything right. They did everything that was asked of them. And
No, I was very impressed actually by this scene by John Candy.
and then after that, you see them. I guess, is that the bar scene or was that earlier?
Well, the bar scene was just before the qualified.
Oh, okay, just before they
Where
call.
they
I
had the bar
apologize.
fight.
Yeah, there was a bar fight,
and that's where you get the stereotypical villain that I was talking
and there
about.
was that.
The
Okay,
sport trope.
and just during that, I'm not trying to be scrambled here, but yeah, that's when they were. There was like country music and dancing, and
Well, it
the
wasn't-
bigger guy
it wasn't
trying to
Calgary,
tell
and the bigger guy.
trying to tell the what's his name too.
He was telling Junior.
Junior, you got to be a man and whatever,
up.
toughen up. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a little scrambled
that's
here.
good timing because that leads to the next bit. Was his father shows up, and he says, "You're coming home.
You're
now.
coming home. I did not know, basically, that you sold your car and that you used the money
That you're going
to
be
come
an
out here.
embarrassment. I paid for you for school. Why are you going to waste it on this?
Yeah, what do you
home.
see? I see a boy who's foolish or whatever, and
Yeah, who's thrown his life away?
is throwing his life
And,
away.
I mean, I thought it was a little silly given his age, but I also understand that in some countries,
Yep, in some countries,
that
definitely.
this is the way it goes. For example, I know we have a friend who's in his 30s. He's Greece, and he still lives with his parents because that's the way it is with them. Until you're married, you live with your parents, and so I mean, for me, I thought it was silly that a grown man couldn't stay out past midnight. You know,
Yeah.
like,
That's just, that's...
But having said that, I understood because it's different cultures.
Yep. So, yeah, like it might seem silly to us, but maybe other people watching this, that just is normal to them. They're
Very
like, yeah,
relatable.
I'm totally on the dad side about this.
But then he sticks up for himself, Junior, and he says, "I'm going to do this."
Yeah.
So then it's the Olympics.
Yeah, the Olympics. They do their first run, and I think they got all the same colors. They got uniforms to put on.
Yeah, that was nice scene. And they painted up the old rickety bobsled.
And then they were trying to do the same routine, or
They're copying what the Swiss were doing.
the Swiss were doing before, like their race, kind of like a ritual. Yeah, they were copying it, so like slapping each other's heads, and just wasn't working for them. So then, I don't know if that psyched them out or whatever, but they ran the
got
course.
nervous
They got nervous, and they were just crashing board to board. Not like big crashes, just bumping board to board,
Yeah.
and they
weren't
ended up getting
focused
last.
enough,
They ended up getting last place in the first run. The first run, they had the worst time.
So then they go back and realize we need to do it the Jamaican way, And they go back the second time, and it's much better.
Much better, yeah. They come back singing their song,
And you had the guys on the commentators were once again about that whole like this is embarrassing, and they're just going off on them, which I don't really understand because like you'd be more about like,
everybody would be cheering them and
these
be like,
guys are such underdogs who
and they're so happy to be
cool
there.
To see.
This has never happened, yeah. So.
But and then the second run, because they did well, they're like, "Oh wow!"
Yeah, they're now 8th place because of their impressive timing. So that was that wasn't too bad.
Second run, and then we have the third run, the final run. And this is the part I remembered. They're going down.
They're going down, and they're going really well. Everything is going perfectly. They're going to break a time record, or at least come close to it.
The
wheels are coming off, though.
Well, they're going to have a Jamaican record, at least.
At least the Jamaican record, but the wheels are coming off.
Yeah, there's
you can see the wheels.
Because of the rickety bobsled, you got a screw that's just coming off, and
it just collapses,
flips, and that looked painful.
Yeah,
their heads are. I remember that part. Their heads
into
just
the ice, and it
dragging their heads.
Oh, it looked. Yeah, that could have been brutal.
That could have been really bad. And this is the part I remembered. They said we need to. They got up and they got the medics running towards them.
Yeah.
And they said, as a country, we need to finish this race. So all of them get up, pick up the bobsled, and they can see the finish line, and all of them just walk with thunderous applause around them, including the Swiss, and they just walk across the finish line.
Best part was the slow clap.
The
slow clap was amazing.
Oh, and then you saw, and they tied up a lot of loose ends here in the movie. Like you had the father was there with the T-shirt,
like supporting his son.
The Swiss guy came by and shook their hands and say, "See you next year," or "See you next." In 4 years.
See you in 4 years. I like that part.
I was very impressed. And then, of course, that you saw that Sanka's egg was still intact.
Yes, I forgot about his egg. Yeah, he had a egg for luck for the entire movie, trying to get people to kiss it.
They tied the loose end of John Candy explaining why he did it and acceptance and.
Yep. But if you want to see a stereotypical slow clap, see that end of that movie because that was amazing.
I thought it was very inspiring. Though I mean, I remembered, but seeing it as an adult now, I thought it was really a great scene.
So, what would you rate this?
I would rate this. I'd say, just because it's very 90s, specifically Disney 90s. I'd say it still could be better, but it's still really good. So I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave it a little bit higher. I liked pretty much everything about it.
Yeah, it was really great.
The acting in it, some of the comedy worked. Everybody was likable in it. There was not one character that was not unlikable or unbearable. There were some misses. Again, some of the comedy again. I didn't really care for the villains because they were clearly over the top.
It's just the typical.
And why they would be hated, I don't understand. I know it had to do it because it's a movie. Probably the Karate Kid or something like that had this very similar feel because he didn't. Anyways, but so I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's definitely out of the 3 that we watched so far between this and my previous favorite, this is my favorite. So I liked Hansel and Gretel more last week than Wolverine, but this takes over for that particular movie.
But yeah, for me overall, I loved it. Like I said, it's very much Disney's 90, but you can't blame it for the time it came out. I thought it had a very good balance, or at least a decent balance of humor, sports, and inspirational moments. If it's filmed today, the humor would probably be lost a lot. It'd probably be tamed and try to go for more of the inspirational route. And just gotta say how great John Candy was.
Oh yeah, movie. It's sad.
I'm a huge fan, and this was towards the end. You can tell he was getting a little heavier there in the past movies, but
it's so hard to watch him because
he was so good at comedy, but also the serious moments.
Yes. So basically, we've been doing this last couple of weeks. If we were to recast it, who do you have? Let's go with the team. I hope you did the whole team.
I did the whole team.
The whole team and the coach. So I will start with the big, intimidating guy. I'm sorry, you know the characters better than I do.
Wait,
if you know his name.
the guy with the goatee and bald?
Yes.
Oh, so Yul, his name is Yul Brenner, played by Malik Yoba. Who did you have?
I had Damon Wayans Jr.
As the big, strong, tough guy there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I cast it. Who I got a lot of comedy here under my recasting. If they were going to recast it today, I want to stress out. I really hope they don't remake this movie.
No.
I don't think it needs to be remade.
Yeah, I was also going with who would
So
you cast
it's
today.
literally like we've been doing things where how do you make it better? I don't know if you can make this better.
No.
So it's literally if they had to recast it, this is who I think you should recast it. So yeah, I did a lot of comedians here. So I did Damon Wayans Jr. as him.
As Yul, I had Mike Coulter, who you might not know by name. Do you watch the Netflix Jessica Jones?
I've seen it. Yes.
It's the guy who plays Luke Cage.
Is he? I see. I was thinking for this particular guy.
This guy was kind of a serious, intense guy,
Yeah.
and this guy, I mean, he looked identical to the role, and
Yeah.
I think he could play that role, the tough guy.
Oh,
that you're
definitely.
trying to
He could easily play it. I was trying to find people that were young. I'm not sure how young that guy
He's
is.
pretty young.
Okay, I wasn't
That's
sure.
why I was going to cast someone.
I was going to cast a guy from The Walking Dead. I can't even
For
think of his
Junior,
name.
I was going to cast someone else, but I thought that guy's too old. I'll tell you that once we
Well,
get to
well, let's go, Junior. Who do you have as Junior?
Okay, like I said, if it was going to be a few years ago, I was thinking maybe Don Cheadle, but to play a 40-year-old man in that role, I can't do it, so I went with Chadwick Boseman. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
He played Ricky Henderson. He didn't play Ricky Henderson. He played in the movie 42, and he played...
Okay. Oh, okay.
He's the Black Panther.
Yep.
And yeah, he's very talented.
Okay.
Very talented.
I picked John Boyega.
John Boyega,
From Star Wars, and I feel that he could fit that role kind of easily.
Yeah, I can definitely see him. How about the main guy, Denise Bannock?
Denise, I picked Corey Hawkins.
Corey Hawkins, who's that?
He is from Straight Outta Compton. He played Dr. Dre.
Okay,
and he's currently in The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead. I went with Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. I was thinking him as well.
You needed someone who's in very good shape because he was kind of the athlete, the most natural athlete of the group, and I went with Michael B. Jordan based off of how well he did in Creed. Now, how about Sanka? Dougie Doug.
I don't know how else you can cast this guy other than Donald Glover.
Okay,
Donald Glover from Community.
That's probably
be perfect.
That's
for
probably
this
better
role.
than what I have because he's just very much the comedic role here.
Yeah, and you got to cast somebody who's not gonna like embarrass the role.
He does kind of. Dougie Doug clearly kind of overdoes it a bit.
He does, but I never found it distracting.
No,
or
it
was forced.
It wasn't too bad,
like
except
he
maybe
was
him
pretty
screaming
good.
a little bit too much.
Yeah,
but I had Anthony Mackie.
Okay.
In that role, because Anthony Mackie's kind of naturally funny and very talented actor, but I also like your suggestion.
And as the coach, who do you have?
I have John Goodman.
See, I will say I had several people in mind.
Yeah.
I went from like really eerily thinking
I was
about
also
Jack
thinking
Black.
Paul Giamatti, possibly.
Possibly,
that was
possibly
one name
Giamatti.
that came up,
I was thinking eerily Jack Black. I could also see Tim Allen in this role. But if you're looking for bigger actors, Kevin James.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, because you had to kind of fit the physique that the role.
And I eventually went with John Goodman.
Oh, you also
That's who I went with.
He's kind of the obvious because he's good at the humor
and
he's very good at the heartwarming moments and very serious, and yeah, I think that was the natural suggestion.
Yeah, so that again, I there's no way for me personally to make it better. I mean, it's a true story, or it's a story, anyways.
It's based on a true, but I mean, clearly it's not verbatim. Like
no, and there were a lot of adult moments in this that kids wouldn't get. I mean, even jokes. I mean, they even mentioned $2 Hooker at one point.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised.
That's a kids movie. This
and
is
then
Disney.
I was just expecting Disney.
Yeah,
after that line.
So, speaking about this kind of movie, though, what are other Olympic movies that come off the top of our heads, I guess, Olympic sport movies, I mean, that we also could have watched realistically, but that were either good or bad. I mean, the only one that comes to my mind is Miracle.
That's what I was just trying to think of, the name of the title of the movie there, Miracle. Not related, but I guess we could have went with like a Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, the Mighty Ducks. Anything Disney, I guess, sport movies, maybe the Big Green or something like that.
Yeah, there's tons of baseball movies also, but...
Yeah, so, I mean, out of all the Olympic or even Disney, let's go with Disney sport movies, I wouldn't say this is my personal favorite out of those because, I mean, I haven't seen the Mighty Ducks in a while, the Mighty Ducks 2, but I just remember enjoying those ones more than Cool Runnings.
Right, and I think maybe we also connected a little bit more with hockey.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So, I guess... let's think about next week. Next week we got several movies coming out. You got London Has Fallen and Zootopia. So
that looks hilarious. Actually,
Zootopia doesn't look bad at all for Disney, another Disney movie, but it's Disney animation, and I think that will run away with the what's going to make money
it's
in the
run away
weekend.
with the box office for sure.
So I think since that's the biggest movie, I feel that we should somehow watch some sort of animated movie, and I guess the suggestion I had was The Wild, because it's a Disney animation and it's about animals. There are also Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is basically about,
I think it's like a heist or something like that.
I'm not sure. So I would say The Wild. I mean, that as long as you're okay with that. I've never seen it.
No, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, apparently it did decent. So it did decent. I'm not going to say it blew anybody away, but I guess we'll find out when we watch it ourselves. And it'll be fun to rate a kid's movie because they're not geared towards us.
No.
So this one, luckily, Cool Runnings was more for adults, in my opinion, than kids.
Well, it was kind of... They did a nice balance of both because they had the very humorous parts for kids, especially Dougie Doug was very much tailored for the kid audience.
Yep.
But they also had very serious moments and practical reasoning, and it's a true story, so they had the actual facts there and like the actual ways things, how you had to qualify for the Olympics, and so it was very informative.
Yes. All right. So, if you guys want to find us, you can follow us at Today's Feature on Twitter. You can also email us at todaysfeaturepodcast@gmail.com. We got a YouTube channel there. That's probably how, if you are watching it, that's how you're watching it. We're also on Podbean. So, thanks for listening again. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Steven.
See you next week.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I am the one who knocks.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
My precious. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Excellent.
$1 million.